I don't know if you have any policies set up, but it is super important. It's not one of the fun things, but it's super important that you have certain policies in place for your business. Come on. I don't know if you have any policies set up, but it is super important. It's not one of the fun things, but it's super important that you have certain policies in place for your business. Now, you probably love to stage, but what happens when something gets stolen from one of your properties? What happens when someone contacts you and says that you damaged their furniture? All of those situations can possibly happen, and you really need to think about, what do I do as a form or an act to respond to those key things? It's not a fun thing, like I said, but we have found out that policies are vital to our business, to many staging companies out there, and to business in general. Some of these things are very pertainable to specific staging companies, and some will be very general. We've even received one of the large corporations, someone that worked with them, they sent us their policy book just for us to look over whenever they were employed. And it was very interesting to see how big companies and big corporations do their policy books. There's no difference between you as a small business owner and some of the things that can happen on a large scale. So I'm going to give you some samples of things that you need to have in place, whether it's today or tomorrow, but very near in the future. Now, policies will grow as your company grows, and some will pertain to the business in general, some will pertain to a team member, maybe those that are asking off, or what are the holidays, and then others will just continue to grow as your company grows. Some of these include, as your initial business policies, you need to have one talking about your theft and loss, as I mentioned, of your company property on a stage. What happens? Do we fill out the police report? Do we take pictures? How do we submit everything? Is this a situation that the company covers under our insurance, or is it something that we pass on to that homeowner if it's over a certain amount? So we're going to give you some samples of some of these key policies, and one of those in particular, because we've had that happen to us. Another one would be incident reporting. Maybe something happened as just a general incident. Something happened out in the field. Something was broken. There was a situation where someone was overcharged. Whatever the incident was, it's a very general form that you can fill out and at least have a paper trail to refer back to when something does go wrong. The furniture and accessory purchase. What is your process when someone wants to purchase the furniture and accessories from a certain job? How are you upgrading that or marking that up? Are you allowing them to pay in several payment plans? What types of payment are you taking? Are you charging tax because you didn't pay tax in the beginning? All of those things have to be lined out. Another example would be a job refund authorization. So maybe you have an incident, but you also have a job refund authorization form, so that whenever your accountant asks, what is this? You can then refer back to that paper trail. Logistics, service, and delivery. That's going to talk through what's happening whenever our product is delivered to a home and set up. The warehouse safety. If you have even storage units, you need to have warehouse safety and those safety rules in place, because when you start adding team members, maybe someone gets hurt, and if you've gone over some policies and procedures, that's going to help you out in the long run. Maybe also a stager checklist, a form that they are using whenever they're checking off what items are going into a home. A calendar formats. What is the right public or the right process that we're writing on the calendar, talking about the jobs? What is our standard formats, right? Because policies are all about adapting the key things that are happening over and over again, possibly, and we're coming up with systems on how to respond and how to do certain things. Company rights to property pictures. What about those property pictures? Is it okay that someone else from your team posts those on their personal page? Or are those rights yours? Or can you post someone else's? You've got to have that process down and that policy that reflects that. Capturing and securing your client information. There should be a process to this. We don't want to share that information, especially when you grow into a team. You may be working with certain clients. We were working with a professional basketball player at one time. Well, we did not want our team members sharing that information because it was a privacy issue. So come up with that policy that talks about that. What about the contract and the agreement processing? When does that need to happen? For us, it has to happen immediately. Once a job comes in, we have within 30 minutes that contract is to, and that payment is to be processed if it is during certain business hours. But when it's not during certain business hours, then we're running it the first business day within 30 minutes because we know there's a reason behind everything, right? We know that that payment may not show up in our bank account 2 to 3 days later, and we may have already staged the property and then it's a non-payment. So you need to think through every single situation.
We hope you've enjoyed this featured module. To gain access to the full resource and over 150 modules just like this, click the link below.